all of this, the beauty about this is if you base your file on one form plus, from year to year will be grayed out. The major part should then start from materiality. Does that mean you will not complete year to year? You will complete it, but you'll complete it in a more condensed document. Okay, so let's start with materiality. We might not be able to complete materiality now, but let's start. Click on materiality. Wherever we stop the next 10, 15 minutes, I will stop for today, and then we'll then proceed from there to tomorrow by His grace. Now, materiality is a very core document in Caseware because based on materiality, it will then affect certain areas of your financial statement. But look at this. Materiality is based on two things. It's based on your risk assessment of the entity and also based on what? On the users of the financial statement. So it's important that you set your materiality before you commence the audit. Also, the materiality, also if you look at the sign-off, you also have two levels of materiality. Materiality at the preliminary stage, at the planning stage, and your materiality can change at the final stage based on your perceived assessment of the risk, or your perceived risk assessment. If it's a change, if you feel that the risk level initially was low, and then get into the office, you then notice that you are seeing a lot of things, then you want to drop your materiality threshold because your risk assessment and now what have not changed. So what Caseware then says, in order to set in your materiality, how do you set in your materialities? What are the parameters? You will all understand that materiality is highly subjective, okay? But there must be some parameters, some context you must look at before you then set in your materialities. And that's what we want to look at. And how do you derive at that particular materiality? So let's start. Number one, users of the financial statement. You can then say the users of the financial statement. Well, this way I'm going to start tomorrow morning by God's grace. It's a management shareholders. What are the factors that could affect them? You document this here. A, you then talk about overall materiality. You want to read through this, you can talk about ISA 2010, ISA 2014. Under the overall materiality, you then have two sections here, which says what? Preliminary and final. Preliminary is to the planning stage, while final is what? I think if I complete this, fine. Why final is at the what? At the final stage. Good. But the materiality is now based on certain threshold. Basis for calculation. So Caseware are given three variables: income before tax, gross revenue, asset. You then have the income before tax for the current year, prior year two. So where are these figures coming from? Mr. Adewale, where are these figures coming from? These figures, not to waste time, these figures are coming from our mapped trial balance. They are pulling from my mapped trial balance. And in result of audit, why do I have my comment here, my prior year and prior year two? It's because of analytical review. Caseware will automate the process. It's left for you to then pick the figure and then interpret it. Now it's because of analytical what? Analytical review. So Caseware says income before tax for the current year is this, for the prior year is this, gross revenue is this, asset is this. So at the end of the day, based on the standard and based on your risk assessment, what is the percentage of this you want to use for your materiality? So for example, for the purpose of this training, I want to use 4. Purpose of this training only. I didn't say that you must always use 4. For income before tax, I want to use 4%. For my gross revenue, I want to use 2%. For my assets, I want to also use 2%. If you have other variable, you can also put in other variable and then put percentage here. Now, what the name then implies here, it said 4% of the current year, then have possible materiality. Possible materiality, as the name implies, is just materiality across different variables. At the end of the day, what is your conclusion? What's the materiality threshold you want to use at the end of the day for your overall materiality? So some firm will look for the least, some will find the smallest, the lowest, or some will find the average. So for me, let me assume that I want to pick what? The average. So if I assume I want to pick the average, so I'll then pick the average here under the conclusion. Can you see my conclusion? Can you just scroll down? And under the preliminary here, can you see the preliminary? And then come here and type the average for my preliminary. My conclusion is I want to use 25,000. I say 25,000. Now, look at what happened. It is when I type in the conclusion here, that is what Caseware will use, and that is what flows in here. Under preliminary materiality overall. And it then cut across all the documents. It then cut across all the documents in Caseware. And that's what Caseware uses. Now, Caseware also tells you, put in the prior year materiality, put in prior year materiality. So in putting the prior year materiality, I can then say, let's assume prior year materiality is what, 16,000. Okay. So, Joseph, please raise up your hand.
Yes, sir. In computing the materiality, the parameters, profit before tax, gross revenue, assets. That's case where combine all the figures there to find the average, or it picks one.
All this figure where? This one? What?
Yes. The ones, the mapped trial balance figures. You know, your screen is small, so I can't mention the figures. The gross revenue, does it pick only
I'm coming.
Let
me zoom my screen.
Okay, so for current period for income before tax, it gives you 133. So I'm asking if I've seen that you picked 25,000 as the average for preliminary. Hello, sir.
I'm with you. Is it 5,000 that you have average? It's not the 5,000. Look at what I said. I said 4%. I used 4% of the current period. Yes. That was giving the 5,000.
Yes.
Okay, what's your question now?
So that means you chose to use income tax before profit. Profit before tax.
Yes, profit before tax. So what's your question?
I can also use gross revenue.
You can also use gross revenue. These are different variables that Caseware has given you. Are we together? Yes. And you are the one that will now put your percentage here. You then have the liberty. This is actually a firm policy. You then have the liberty to then choose what you want to use. But you must be able to defend it. You must then put a comment on why you use it.
Yes, sir.
Do you get it, Joseph?
So yes. So the word I wanted was firm's
policy. Yes.
Firm policy. Yes. Firm policy. Thank you.
This is based on firm policy. Nobody will tell you, okay, different firm policies have, I said that earlier, some people will pick, they want to use gross revenue. Some people want to find the average of everything. Some want to use list. And also based, but what is important for me is your materiality threshold must speak to the risk assessment of that particular entity. And also on the users for that particular entity.
Sure, sir.
Do you get it? But
yes,
how you then arrive on which parameter you then want to stand on, and the percentage you're going to use is actually based on what? On the firm policies. And actually based on the experience and the firm policies. Actually, let me put that one. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. So let's proceed now. So with setting that, you then have I put in 25,000. I'm assuming the firm policy says that let's find the average. So I just pick an average figure here. And I'll assume this 25,000. Now, The next thing you want to do now is this. You need to then put in what is the maturity threshold you used last year. I assume it's 15. Okay, it says 16. And whatever I'm showing you here, actually, sorry, is actually my exercise. I opened a Word document for you earlier. This Word document is actually for you. And go and look at it. So we said it's actually 25. I'm using 16. Okay. This for you, you are the one that will then determine the maturity threshold. Good. Now I've not spoken about final yet, but if you look at this clause, please, I will not tell you to respond to it now. Go and read this clause, digest this clause. You then tell me what this clause means tomorrow as it relates to audit. The clause says, if overall maturity is lower than in previous period, consider whether misstatement may exist in opening balance or not. So by God's grace, tomorrow, we're then going to start from here. We'll look at the performance. I'll talk about B, C, and likes. We'll then proceed from there tomorrow. This is 4:01. I don't want to delay you unnecessarily. Tomorrow, I might close a bit late, but today, let's maintain our 6 hours. Once again, thank you. Or let me say, questions? Any question from me? So no question, no observation. My observation I want to say here is you guys don't respond. Okay? Joseph, please unmute yourself and talk.
So, sir, after just like this materiality from 420, after completing everything and it populates in the pool, the materiality feed.
Free Spain, yes. Free Spain, yes.
Yes. Can you then can I then PDF this and then or print this and add it to probably my hard document or attach it to my Caseware files?
Caseware file. Don't forget your Caseware file is a soft copy.
Yes, it is. But
so you want to PDF it and add it to your hard copy. Nothing stop you from adding to your hard copy. Actually, nothing stop you. But the truth,
we had a review. We had a review just like last month, and the reviewer was, in fact, external reviewer. His point was that all these things must be added or to the case, like scanned and added, so that
okay.
Probably the if let's say a third party wants it, you cannot send the case the whole of the case to file.
So good. I will get there. So let me tell you, instead of printing it out, you can PDF it. So when we're about to close on Friday, I'll respond to your question. It's not only this document. You can PDF quite a lot of documents. We'll call it the batch PDF. If you have a third party that want to review and that person does not have access to Caseware, you can do a batch PDF for some of these documents and the likes, and then send it to that person. Not necessarily print it, but if you want to print it, yes, you can say print it. But is it possible? Yes. But I'll still show you.
Okay, sir. All right, thank you.
Mr. David Kwame. Mr. David Kwame, you raised up your hand earlier. Where is he? Is he gone? Apparently, he raised up his hand earlier. Any other question? Any other question for me? Okay, in the answer for no question, I think we can then call it a day for today. Thank you so much. We'll see you same time station tomorrow.